Any sports fans here? Awesome. Well, most of you are. That's awesome. That'll help. But even if you're not a sports fan, you may find value in this talk. So today we're going to transcribe motivational sports talks and derive insights from them to see which ones are like the most motivational or inspirational using deep RAM speech and text and Python. So you might be wondering like why I chose this topic and like what inspired this talk today. So yes, I was a former athlete. I now develop in Python, including Python, but it was really about the movie Rudy. Has anybody seen this movie? It's from like the 1990s, mid-90s. Yeah, great movie. It changed my life, and the movie Rudy, I can just quickly explain. It's about this young boy. He's in high school. He's drunk with playing football for Notre Dame. You know, one of the most storied football programs in college football. He wasn't very athletic. You know, he was like a little bit on the shorter side. People thought he was like nuts. They're like, there's no way you're going to play football for Notre Dame. So he ends up actually walking off the team. He makes the team as a walk-on. And so there's a lot of great motivational speeches and themes in that movie. But there's actually a bigger reason for this talk that's more like personal to me as well. So this is a screenshot from the 1990s, so you have to excuse the photo quality. But so I played varsity basketball as a freshman through senior year of high school. And our nemesis was a team called the Milwaukee Washington Pergoaters. And they literally beat us like every year at state. Not only did they beat us at state, we would also play them during the regular season. They would always beat us. So twice a year, they would always beat us. They had a really, really good team, like their starting five, including some of their bench players, like ended up playing at really high levels of college. So they were just like a really good team. And like my high school team, it was kind of like we just did not think we could beat them whatsoever. Like there was no possibility of beating them. And we started to believe that we could not win against this team. So this is myself and my high school coach. We call him Coach K, Jim Kirksey, great man. So my senior year of high school, I actually called up my parents, called me up, and he came over to my parents' house, sat down with us, and he said, we're gonna try something different this year. And I'm like, okay. I mean, because this was really our last chance to win a state championship in the state of Wisconsin for girls basketball. So the first day of practice, we're like, I'm with my teammate, we're shooting, warming up, and he's like, everybody know, put the basketball away, come to this classroom. And so we started watching a film, and that was the movie Rudy. Once again, about a kind of a unathletic, kind of on the shorter side. He wanted to play football for Notre Dame. And in this movie, so he ends up making the team with a walk-on. And in this movie, there's a scene at the end of the movie where Rudy finally gets into the game, and he tackles the quarterback. And everybody's like cheering, like, Rudy, Rudy. All the fans are cheering, Rudy, Rudy. The whole stadium is going wild. And his teammates pick him up, and they carry him off the field. And it's just a very emotional scene, very enlightening scene. So every day before practice for that whole year, we would actually watch that scene of the movie. And then something started to happen. Like in our subconscious minds. And anybody know what happened? That's okay if you don't. You'll find out at the end of our time together today. So once again, my name is Tonya Sims. I'm a Python developer advocate at DeepGram. At DeepGram, we are an AI speech-to-text company, so we transcribe real-time streaming audio and pre-recorded audio. But to be honest, we're more than a transcription company. We've got a ton of features. We just released a lot of understanding features a couple weeks ago, like symptom analysis, topic detection, some of which we'll talk about today, and then you'll see in action. I am a former professional athlete. After I retired from sports, I went and worked in pharmaceutical sales for a couple of years. Hated it. And, it did teach me a little bit, but I got into tech after that, after sales, and now I am a Python developer advocate. And if you want to connect on Twitter with me, hopefully Twitter's going to be around for some time. But if it's not, always connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So, the project that we are going to go through today, and you will see some code, but it's mainly, you'll mainly see like what is possible with DeepGram and Python. So, we're going to transcribe 5 motivational sports talks. I'm sure you probably recognize some of these names up here. So the first sports talk we'll transcribe is, by a guy named Gerald Green, former NFL player, Hall of Famer. So his Hall of Fame speech is considered to be one of the best Hall of Fame speeches ever. And so I wanted to find out why that was. The next speech is Kobe Bryant. Obviously one of the best basketball players to ever play in the NBA, and a very, very good motivational speaker. Then we'll transcribe a sports speech by Serena Williams. She's like the GOAT, right? Like, greatest of all time in tennis, and just an amazing will to win. The next speech is by Al Pacino. It's from a movie called Any Given Sunday, once again from the 90s. And he plays like this, like a fictitious NFL coach, and he is talking to his players at halftime, and he gives a motivational speech. And the last speech is by a guy named Jimmy Galvano, who's a very popular college coach for NC State, just a big personality, and the players just like loved him. Just a very lovable guy. And so the features that we'll use, so we're going to use DeepGram's pre-recorded transcription, where you upload a file and you have some type of like hosted file online. We also have streaming or live transcription, but we're not going to use that for this project. We're just going to use the pre-recorded transcription that transcribes speech to text. Some of the features we are going to use: summarization, which gives a preview and summarizes the content of the transcript. I think a benefit of this, it saves time, sifting through every transcript, and so you can quickly analyze the summary of the transcript. Then we'll move into doing some topic detection of each of the speeches. What this does is just extracts the key topics from the transcript, from the text. The benefit of that, being able to quickly determine what the transcript is about and identify patterns in the call. And like if you have maybe you're transcribing call centers calls or something, you can use topic detection to quickly identify patterns in those calls. Then we will get into some sentiment analysis. Just released with DeepGram, sentiment analysis identifies the tone in a transcript. If it's positive, negative, neutral tone. Benefit, it helps customers communicate better with their customers and develop more relevant messaging. Then we'll take a look at, we have something called a profanity filter, which, as you probably, can tell, it filters out profanity. So we'll look at how DeepGram does that. And then last but not least, we'll talk about the search feature at DeepGram, which just searches for terms, words, and phrases in a transcript. So let's take a look. So we have DeepGram, we also have a Python SDK. It's on GitHub. And once again, pre-recorded transcription, uploading a file or posted online file, and you transcribe the speech to text. So this code here, Python, so this line here, it's just initializing the DeepGram SDK with your API key. Then we are opening the audio file. And next, we're creating a dictionary with audio as a buffer and something called a MIME type, the appropriate MIME type. And in this case, it's MP3. We support many different formats of audio as well. That's that one. And this line is pretty much where the magic happens. That is where DeepGram does the pre-recorded transcription, passing in the source, and optional features like punctuation. which just adds punctuation to the transcript. And then last but not least, we are printing the JSON. You get a response back with the different features that you use. Okay, so let's start let's start transcribing our sports speeches. Okay, so the first one is Daryl Green. Have anybody heard of Daryl Green before? Any football, NFL? Okay, I don't feel bad. I never heard of him either until fairly recently. But it's interesting because he's considered to be one of the best defensive cornerbacks to ever play in the NFL. And he played for the what's now the Washington Commanders for many years, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2008. And I became a football fan, American football fan, I should say, later in life. Go Packers. Kind of hopped on that bandwagon a little bit in 2011 when they won their Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. So Daryl Green, his Hall of Fame speech is considered to be the best. And as I was saying earlier, okay, it's the best, but why do people consider it to be the best? So the summary for Daryl Green, and I'll show you the code for how you do the summary. It's very easy. So I was saying earlier too, like a use case, kind of outside of sports, for the summarize feature would be like a call center. Your customers need to navigate with a large number of calls and analyze important conversations through generated summaries. So after transcribing Daryl Green's speech, like here is like the summary. Deacon Jones said I would cry. You bet your life I'm going to cry. That's my boy right there. Okay, Deacon Jones, I can kind of give you some context. He's another Hall of Famer who played for the Washington Commanders, same team. He's older than Daryl Green, so kind of what I took away from this, and you may take away something different, but he spoke to Deacon before he gave his Hall of Fame speech, and he knew he was going to be very emotional. Maybe they had like a friendship, some type of friendship where Deacon was some type of mentor. So to add the summarization feature to get that type of summary, it's very simple. All you do is just add the summarize key and set the value to true in the Python dictionary. And this also adds the punctuation by default with degram. And then you'll get a JSON response with the summary. Okay, so the topic detection that came from the transcript, topic detection, once again, extracts key topics from the text with the benefit of quickly identifying and analyzing patterns in the transcript. So some of the topics that came from Daryl Green's speech include, topic 1, parenting, family. Topic 2, infants. Topic 3, leadership. Topic 4, God, Bible, clothing, gods, fashion, Christianity. Topic 5, law, God, gods, Christianity, religion. So you can kind of see where this speech was going. It seemed that Daryl Green was very religious. There's a lot of references to like Christianity, God, religion, Bible. It seems he really loves his family, his parents, and he cares a lot about leadership. And so I just created a word cloud as well for the topics, and you can see kind of what sticks out for the visual people here: God, Christianity, gods. And the topic detection, once again, very, very easy. You just add that detect _ topics parameter to a Python dictionary, set the value to true, turns on the feature, and this also adds punctuation by default to the transcript. Once again, this will give a JSON response with topics. Okay, next, Kobe Bryant. Does anyone have like an NBA top 5? I don't know. Yeah. Is Kobe in your top 5 by any chance?
Definitely.
Yeah, he's in my top 5 too. Phenomenal player. Just an amazing competitor. He just had this will to win that was very special and just very rare. And I think he gets left out of the top 5 a lot because he was so similar to Michael Jordan. But you have to have him in there. He was also an advocate and a mentor for women's basketball players as well. So a really great motivational speaker. So let's summarize Kobe Bryant's speech. So this may not surprise you, but it says, I had a purpose. I wanted to be one of the best basketball players to ever play, and anything else that was outside of that, lame. I didn't have time for it. There's a quote from one of my English teachers that said, rest at the end, not in the middle, and that's something I always live by. So takeaways, if you follow Kobe Bryant, you know he's very driven to be like the best. He's always practicing, always getting better. Never quit, never gave up. So some of the topics from the topic detection that came from Kobe Bryant's that speech of his include sports, games, sports, scouting. There's gambling. Gambling is he didn't say gambling in the speech, but it could be that maybe it's about taking risks. In sports you take risks. So exercise, fitness, athletics, sports, more parenting, children, sports, games, vacation, parenting, children. So you can see very focused on winning games, playing sports and parenting children. And then word cloud, you kind of see what sticks out here. Sports, games, parenting, just very focused on basketball. But he was more than a basketball player as well. He spoke 5 languages. He was an avid reader. But in this speech, this is what kind of stands out. Okay, Serena Williams.
Next question.
What?
Now or after?
I can ask you one time in.
Okay.
Yep. Keep that thought. Okay, so I'll never forget. So Serena Williams, the GOAT, greatest of all time in tennis. I'll never forget the first time hearing about Serena and Venus. I was in Kentucky visiting my grandparents, and my grandmother showed me the Sports Illustrated with these 2 little girls on the cover, and it was Venus and Serena. It was like the most amazing thing I had ever seen, and it really inspired me in my own sports career as well. So let's take a look at the summary for Serena Williams. For her speech, her I believe in yourself speech. I always wanted to be the best. When I go out there, I really have to shut down my mind. I have to say to myself, you know what? I'm just playing a great player, but today I have to be better. I hate to lose, but I think losing has brought me to here today. You can achieve anything that you set your mind to. Takeaways, Serena hated, she hates to lose. Will to win, that is unmatched, and that's why she's probably one of the greatest of all time. So her topics from that speech, games, sports, there's that gambling again, probably taking risks, gods. So Serena is very sports focused. Gods comes from she comes from a very religious family, so maybe that's why gods was mentioned. War, she did not say war in the speech, but once again, maybe that's talked about in a way that means, I don't know, a lot of people compare war to sports. They're obviously very different, but maybe it's about the fierce competition or the battle. Word cloud, I think this is pretty equally distributed. Nothing really jumped out at me here, but we'll get into doing sentiment analysis in a bit. So Al Pacino, his speech from the movie Any Given Sunday. And in this movie, he's an NFL coach for this team, fictitious team called the Miami Sharks, and who's once this great football team. Now they kind of have all these washed-up players or whatever. So he's at halftime. They're losing. They're down by 7. He's giving his team a pep talk, and he's trying to unite them because they've had some differences. And so he's pretty much trying to motivate his players to victory. So the summary for that speech is, we're in hell right now, and we can stay here, get the blank kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell 1 inch at a time. And this speech is actually called the inch-by-inch speech. He's pretty much talking about they were in a bad place, they were losing a game, but being able to dig yourself out of that situation inch by inch. Topics for Al Pacino's speech: games, sports, gambling, gender, war, gambling again, taking risks in sports. Word cloud, evenly distributed, nothing really pops out at me here, but we'll see the sentiment in a bit, how that kind of changes. And last but not least, our last sports speech was Jimmy Valvano, very popular coach at NC State, very big personality. His players loved him. And I'll never forget actually watching this talk, the speech that he gave back in the 90s again at the ESPYs, which is a sports award show. And the theme of that speech was never give up. And it was so emotional because at the same time he was fighting a very, very serious battle of cancer. And during that speech he launched his Jimmy Valvano Cancer Research Foundation. Unfortunately he did lose his battle with cancer. It was a huge loss for the college basketball community. So let's look at the summary for his speech. I'm very emotional. Passionate man, that's being the son of Ron and Helena Valvano. As it comes with the territory, I don't know how much I have left, and I have some things that I would like to say. If you laugh, you think, and you cry, you do that 7 days a week, you're gonna have something special. My takeaway from this summary: very passionate and emotional speech, and he doesn't know how much time he has left. Topics really quick, and then we'll get into the sentiment analysis. But speech, poetry, cancer, love, relationships, sports, athletics, speech, cancer, death, disease, sports, cancer. So you can tell obviously from this topic that cancer was on the topic of behind, rightfully so. Word cloud, you can see kind of what is most prevalent in that speech, given the topics. So sentiment analysis, identifying emotional tone behind a body of text. And this is something that we just released with DeepGram. So positive sentiment analysis, your attitude towards a particular topic is good. Neutral, your attitude toward a particular topic is okay. And negative, your attitude toward a particular topic is bad. So using our DeepGram Python SDK, once again, very simple. All we need to do is just add the sentiment true parameter there. And you'll get the JSON response with the sentiment. I'm not going to show the response, but what I did is, for example, for each of the speeches, I'll show you in a minute. So let's take Daryl Green's speech. Remember, he's our NFL Hall of Famer. His speech was about religion, God, and things like that. So what I did is I just used Python and pandas combined to, once I got that JSON response back, parsed the JSON response, did some aggregation. So you can see here, Daryl Green's speech, there was 10 instances of negative sentiment, 47 instances of neutral, and 21 instances of positive sentiment. Then I used matplotlib to graph the average percentage for each of the speeches. So you can see here, 58.2% of Daryl Green's speech was neutral, 13% was negative, and about 27% of that speech was positive. Kobe Bryant speech that he reviewed, wanting to be the best basketball player ever. 61 instances of negative speech, 159 of neutral, 54 positive, and 1 very positive. And his graph here, 56% neutral, 25.5% negative, 0.4% very positive, and only 20.6% of his speech was deemed positive. Sentiment, Serena Williams. Negative, 11 instances of negative speech, 18 of neutral, and 23 of positive. And her graph, 31% of her speech was neutral, 24.1% negative, and 44.4% of her speech was deemed positive. Sentiment for Al Pacino, his speech, digging yourself out of a hole inch by inch. 10 instances of negative speech, 28 instances of neutral speech, 9 instances of positive sentiment. And Al Pacino's graph, 59% neutral, 18% of his speech was negative, and 22% positive. Last but not least, Jimmy Galvano, that passionate and emotional speech at the ESPYs about never giving up as he was succumbing to cancer. So here you have 31 instances of negative speech, 100 instances of neutral speech, 52 positive, and 1 very positive. And Jimmy Galvano's graph here, 54.1% neutral, 17% of his speech being negative, 0.5% of his speech being very positive, and 28.1% being positive. So the winner, I guess, if you're talking in terms of sentiment, was actually Serena Williams. She had the most positive sentiment at 44.4% in her speech, the I Believe in Yourself speech that she gave. So some other Deepgram's features, like we have a profanity filter feature, which filters out profanity by converting it to like the nearest recognized non-profane word, or like removes it completely from the transcript. So I have a transcript that you'll see in a minute with profanity. It's actually this coach buddy. His name is Coach Buddy Stevens, and he's a college coach for a junior college in Mississippi. And they were featured on this documentary called Last Chance U on Netflix. And he was talking to his team at halftime, and Coach Buddy Stevens uses a lot of profanity. So I figured, okay, let me find an audio of him, because I know there's going to have profanity in it. As you can see, I had to blank out some of the words here. I don't want to offend anybody. So you can see where the profanity happens, right? So this is actually how you add the profanity filter. Once again, very simple. With Deepgram, you just add the profanity filter parameter, set it equal to true, and then the JSON response we'll get is the transcript without the profanity in it. So let's look at what it looks like without the profanity. Much, much different than what you originally saw. Okay, almost there. We have a search feature. We have a lot of other features too, just highlighting a few of them, because I know we don't have much time. And this feature actually allows you to search for a single term, multiple terms, or like search for a phrase. So for example, in the Serena Williams transcript, I'm sure she says the word tennis. So we could search for the word tennis in her transcript. And the way you do that is just pass in the search parameter with the keyword, or with the search word or term or phrase, and I just put tennis, and you'll get a JSON response with the words found in the search. And what that looks like is something like this, where you have the query, tennis, that's what we're searching for, and the snippet that you get back once it finds the word that you're searching for. So we got back a tennis, so that's where that word appears. Diarization. Anybody from a diarization, or it's just, I'm sure some of you are, it's just recognizing speaker changes in a transcript if there are like multiple speakers. So it makes the transcript more readable. So it kind of separates it out, like you see here, into like speaker 0 said this, speaker 1 said that, and so on. Okay, so circling back to the beginning of our time together, I was saying that we, in high school, we had this nemesis, Milwaukee, Washington. They would always beat us every year, twice a year, during the season, at the state tournament. It was pretty bad. We're whenever I would beat him. Then our high school coach made us watch the movie Rudy like every day. A lot of motivational speeches and scenes in that movie. And something started shifting in our subconscious mind. We started to believe in ourselves. And guess what? We finally beat our nemesis for the Wisconsin girls basketball state championship many years ago. We like crushed them by like 20 points. And yeah, so it was pretty cool to make that shift and start believing in ourselves. And so, you know, for the most part, for most of us, I would say like motivational speeches like help us to inspire us like in all fields, like not just sports. DeepGram, we have something called the DeepGram console. It's like an online playground. You can do missions. You can try streaming and pre-recorded transcription browser. You can choose your coding language, Python, Node.js. You can also choose your spoken language as well. We support like 30 different spoken language models. And we give you $150 of free credit to use for transcription. I just want to thank everybody for your time today. Thank you to PyData New York City. And yeah, I'll open up for a few questions if you have any.
And conclusion, you have
Yeah, I noticed in Kobe Bryant's speech there were like 3 or 4 topics with a single turn of games. Like, why is that? I don't understand that.
So it was like games, topic 1, games, topic 2.
But just only games. There were no other terms.
I'm not actually sure. I mean, it's not perfect. We did just release the topic detection like 2 weeks ago, so we're always improving on that. But I think maybe it just takes chunks of the transcripts and it just separates it onto the topics that way. Yeah. Good question.
For the sentence analysis, like, are you analyzing each statement by itself, or are you like adding context to that statement based on like the statements around it? So if there's like a negative statement in the middle of this, like, you know, speech, but like the sentences before it and after it maybe provide some sort of like, I guess, positive context, would that get bucketed in that positive category, or would it just go to negative?
That's a really good question. So I'm not sure on that. We do have somebody from our research team who actually worked on something that's at our booth upstairs.
Okay.
She would be the perfect person to ask. That's a really, really good question.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I feel like when analyzing speeches, especially, we might be interested in like looking at how the speech is actually delivered, not only just the text. Is there any work on detecting like speaker variability in tone or
That's interesting. So I was at another conference a couple weeks ago, and somebody was mentioning that. That's something that we are we are looking to do in the near future. Yeah, of the tonality and like how it's delivered. Yes.
For your topic detection, are you using like a preset list of words? Because it looked like the same words popped up in each speech.
Yeah, I'm not sure of like the underworkings behind topic detection, but I know that we did. There were like a few words, kind of like he was saying, like how like the topic themes.
Yeah, but it came up in multiple speeches. Let's say like war showed up in one of the speeches. It kind of gives the idea that there are topics that are listed with keywords underneath them.
Yeah, we do have a list of like keywords at the topics.
So
yes.
my real question is, like, I work in a dental call center.
Okay.
Right? This wouldn't be able to detect any topics that would be useful to me. Would you be able to add topics?
Yes, we are doing that because we are. I mean, if there's like a more like a custom case, we do work with the industry specific terms to help get those added. But once again, I was like earlier, just a minute ago, the woman one of the research engineers who worked on topic detection at our booth. So she helped add all we call them understanding features like topic detection, sentiment analysis, summarization. So she would definitely for sure. Yeah, of course. Thanks for stopping by, everybody.
Thank you.